A few years ago, my dad bought me a large flat in the suburbs, saying a university city would be built there, and its value would increase. But 4 or 5 years passed, and they hadn't even built a road. After that, I gradually forgot about it. But now, it has become our ultimate shelter. I am definitely getting a divorce today. A familiar voice echoed in my ears. I opened my eyes and saw a familiar scene. Xiao Guangming was standing in front of me, pointing at my nose and cursing furiously. What is going on? Wasn't I struck by a mutated wild boar and eaten alive by it? This 1 million is your breakup fee. I demand you move out by the end of today. Seeing that I wasn't moving, Xiao Guangming stepped forward and gave me a push. Caught off guard, I fell onto the sofa. Neon country's nuclear-contaminated water discharge is still ongoing. This action will surely face strong condemnation from the international community. On the TV, an elegant anchorwoman was broadcasting the news. The corner of the screen show today was November 24th. It has been 3 months since Neon Country discharged the contaminated water into the sea. In these 3 months, our nation banned the import of Neon Country's seafood, and citizens consciously boycotted all Neon Country products. People started panic buying iodized salt. Other than that, people's daily lives didn't seem to change much. But I knew that 1 month from now, the devastating effects of the contaminated water would begin to show. At first, it was just marine life mutating. But soon, a heavy rainstorm would cause the creatures on land to mutate as well. You think 1 million is enough to get rid of me? Impossible. I stood up and pointed at Xiao Guangming. Chen Zuer is pregnant, isn't she? That's why she wants a status. Don't forget, the reason this company grew so big is largely due to my efforts. Chen Zuer was Xiao Guangming's mistress. She hadn't been out of college for long. My final price is 5 million. Otherwise, I won't divorce you. I'll make sure your son remains an illegitimate child forever. Xiao Guangming and I were college classmates. After graduation, we started a business with a startup capital from my parents. Because we were always busy with work, we never had children after getting married. This became his obsession. Chen Zuer took advantage of this. Using the baby in her belly, she successfully stood out. Among all of his lovers, Xiao Guangming was intimidated by me, his eyes full of disbelief. I sat back on the sofa, slowly pouring myself a cup of tea. Take your time to think about it. I'm in no rush. But whether Chen Zuer is in a rush, I don't know. After a long while, Xiao Guangming gritted his teeth and said, "Give me 3 days. I'll transfer the remaining 4 million to you." I smiled and nodded. Deal. Then, I signed the divorce papers. Once the 4 million arrives, we'll go make it official. Walking out of that ocean view villa, a heat wave hit my face. In my past life, extreme heat accompanied by animal mutations caught humanity completely off guard. I bought a plane ticket back to Ziking and returned to my hometown that very night. Why are you back? Standing at the door of our family villa, my mom looked surprised to see me. Let's go inside. I had returned so abruptly that I didn't even bring luggage. Our family of 3 gathered in my dad's study. I told them about my rebirth and revealed the grim fate that awaited us all. As for the divorce, it wasn't even worth mentioning. In my past life, because we were unprepared, we quickly ran out of food. While I was out scavenging for supplies, I encountered a pack of mutated wild boars. A normal boar is dark brown, with a long snout, but the mutated ones had grown long tusks like elephants. Incredibly sharp. They also had long horns on their heads. Looking absolutely terrifying, I couldn't fight off a whole pack alone. So I had to run. But I couldn't outrun them. Their tusks pierced through my body. Before I completely lost consciousness, I was already being eaten alive. I hurriedly took out my phone and pulled up a recent news article about unknown creatures. attacking humans by the coast. These were actually mutated fish that had grown sharp teeth, attacking people on sight. Now my parents believed me completely. Dad, Mom, tomorrow we need to move to the large flat in the suburbs. The villa is no longer safe. After animals that caught the rain mutated, their size would generally increase several times over. The villa's yard wouldn't be able to hold them back. And even if we tried to fortify it, the workload would be much higher than an apartment building. The flat in the suburbs that my parents bought for me was originally intended to profit from the new university city. We thought its value would skyrocket, but after 4 or 5 years with no progress, I had gradually ignored it. Now, it would become our ultimate sanctuary. It has a usable area of over 400 square meters, plenty of space for our family to hoard supplies. Tonight, the villa was brightly lit. My parents started packing, ready to call the moving company tomorrow. I started making a list, writing down everything we needed to buy. The top priority was fortifying the house. Early the next morning, our family split into 3 groups. My dad went to the construction market to hire a company to fortify the apartment. The fewer people who knew about our hoarding, the better. Our family of 3 had to do as much as we could ourselves. All the doors and windows were reinforced. The main door was replaced with a solid, bulletproof security door. I also bought 50 door jammers online. Animals, even mutated, are still beasts. They wouldn't grow brains and take the elevator up. This was mainly to defend against desperate humans. The windows were changed to thickened explosion-proof glass. Not only that, we also custom-ordered stainless steel grills, adding an extra layer of bars outside all the windows. The grills could also hold off the construction crew if needed, although they found this kind of renovation very strange. Because we paid them a lot, they didn't ask questions. My mom and I split up. I went to buy food and some daily necessities. My mom drove to various pharmacies to buy essential medicines. We couldn't buy all the medicine in one place. She had to visit several stores. She didn't just buy medicine for humans. Things like pesticides and cockroach killers had to be bought too. With the experience of starving in my past life, I first drove to the wholesale food market under the guise of buying employee gifts from my dad's company. I started purchasing in bulk. I also went to a second-hand market and bought a van. In my previous life, because mutated animals attacked cell towers and the power grid, cell signal and electricity were the first to go out. The water supply never stopped, but the water coming from the pipes already contained massive amounts of radioactive elements. It couldn't be consumed at all. It could only be used to flush toilets and couldn't directly touch the human body. I bought 100 boxes of bottled water, 24 bottles per box. I tried my best to get ones with earlier production dates. Eating some preservatives is better than drinking nuclear wastewater. Instant noodles, 8 treasure porridge, and self-heating hot pots. I bought 50 boxes of each. These are very convenient. When the power goes out, you just need a little water to make them. I bought military compressed biscuits, canned meat, and canned fruit, 50 boxes of each. These foods have a long shelf life, don't spoil easily, and can be saved for last. I also bought some vegetable seeds. If possible, it would be nice to grow fresh vegetables. But since I'd have to water them with bottled water, I didn't hold out much hope. When buying water, I saw the store using small trolleys to move things around. I quickly bought 10 of these trolleys and loaded them into the car. My small van couldn't possibly hold all these things. I asked my dad to go buy a truck. My dad used to be a truck driver when he was young, before he started his logistics company. Driving a truck was a piece of cake for him. The occupancy rate in our building wasn't high. So, after dark, I stepped into the elevator first, covered my face, smashed the security camera. And then my dad and I started moving things, our family of 3, each with a trolley. Kept moving supplies until m. And so, the first day passed. In the following days, my mom and I continued shopping. My mom went straight to the breeding farms. Recapping, Tonight, the villa was brightly lit. My parents started packing, ready to call the moving company tomorrow. I started making a list, writing down everything we needed to buy. The top priority was fortifying the house. Early the next morning, our family split into 3 groups. My dad went to the construction market to hire a company to fortify the apartment. The fewer people who knew about our hoarding, the better. Our family of 3 had to do as much as we could ourselves. All the doors and windows were reinforced. The main door was replaced with a solid, bulletproof security door. I also bought 50 door jammers online. Animals, even mutated, are still beasts. They wouldn't grow brains and take the elevator up. This was mainly to defend against desperate humans. The windows were changed to thickened explosion-proof glass. Not only that, we also custom-ordered stainless steel grills, adding an extra layer of bars outside all the windows. The grills could also hold off the construction crew if needed, although they found this kind of renovation very strange. Because we paid them a lot, they didn't ask questions. My mom and I split up. I went to buy food and some daily necessities. My mom drove to various pharmacies to buy essential medicines. We couldn't buy all the medicine in one place. She had to visit several stores. She didn't just buy medicine for humans. Things like pesticides and cockroach killers had to be bought too. With the experience of starving in my past life, I first drove to the wholesale food market. Under the guise of buying employee gifts from my dad's company, I started purchasing in bulk. I also went to a second-hand market and bought a van. In my previous life, because mutated animals attacked cell towers and the power grid, cell signal and electricity were the first to go out. The water supply never stopped, but the water coming from the pipes already contained massive amounts of radioactive elements. It couldn't be consumed at all. It could only be used to flush toilets and couldn't directly touch the human body. I bought 100 boxes of bottled water, 24 bottles per box. I tried my best to get ones with earlier production dates. Eating some preservatives is better than drinking nuclear wastewater. Instant noodles, 8 treasure porridge, and self-heating hot pots. I bought 50 boxes of each. These are very convenient. When the power goes out, you just need a little water to make them. I bought military compressed biscuits, canned meat, and canned fruit, 50 boxes of each. These foods have a long shelf life, don't spoil easily, and can be saved for last. I also bought some vegetable seeds. If possible, it would be nice to grow fresh vegetables. But since I'd have to water them with bottled water, I didn't hold out much hope. When buying water, I saw the store using small trolleys to move things around. I quickly bought 10 of these trolleys and loaded them into the car. My small van couldn't possibly hold all these things. I asked my dad to go buy a truck. My dad used to be a truck driver when he was young, before he started his logistics company. Driving a truck was a piece of cake for him. The occupancy rate in our building wasn't high. So, after dark, I stepped into the elevator first, covered my face, smashed the security camera, and then my dad and I started moving things. Our family of 3, each with a trolley, kept moving supplies until m. And so, the first day passed. In the following days, my mom and I continued shopping. My mom went directly to the breeding farms to buy meat, and I went to another wholesale market. Toilet paper, sanitary pads, and other necessities, 50 boxes of each. Body wash, shampoo, soap, laundry detergent, and charging cables, 5 boxes of each. I also bought a few binoculars to make it easier to observe the outside environment. 3 days later, I received the 4 million balance as promised. I left, bought a ticket back, and got the divorce certificate with Zhao Guangming. Walking out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, it was a beautiful day. Blue skies, white clouds, clear weather. I let out a deep breath. Hurry up and take your things out of the house. Zur is moving in. Zhao Guangming smiled, stuffing his divorce certificate into his pocket. No need, just throw it all away. We will never see each other again. After saying that, I strode away from Zhao Guangming. In this life, I want to see how long you can actually survive. A week later, The fortification of our house was complete. My dad gave each of the construction workers a red envelope to thank them. Then, he called a locksmith to change the locks on the main door. After doing all this, my dad drove to the appliance market. He bought 10 large double-door refrigerators, 10 freezers, 10 air purifiers, and 5 humidifiers. Our family of 3 only needed 2 rooms to sleep in. The rest of the rooms were all used to store supplies. The largest room was completely filled with bottled water, because the power would soon be cut off. We also bought 5 silent generators. One of the properties in my dowry happened to be a gas station, so getting diesel was incredibly easy for me. All the refrigerators were pushed into the storage room. My mom brought back 50 halves of pork from the farm, 100 chickens, 100 ducks, 100 catties of mutton, and 100 catties of beef. It was all chopped up and stored inside. I then went to Sam's Club and bought a few woks, several pressure cookers, and lots of drinks and snacks. Later, we would be stuck at home every day, unable to do anything. Eating snacks could help kill time. In the supermarket, everyone had a faint smile on their faces. Grocery shopping is an activity that brings a strong sense of happiness. I was the only one rushing around, my mind completely focused on survival. After bringing all these things back, my mom had cooked rice, and we ate together. My dad had gone out early to buy things, and still hadn't returned. Lately, we had been constantly buying and moving things, hardly getting any rest. After eating and washing up, I immediately went to sleep. In the middle of the night, I was woken up by noises in the living room. I got up and saw my dad had returned. There were some items laid out on the living room floor. When I got closer, I realized they were several hunting rifles. They looked quite old. Besides those, there were also some machetes, daggers, and other restricted items. I thought about it, and we still need weapons. My grandpa used to be a great hunter. I followed him hunting since I was a kid. So I made a trip to our hometown to bring these back. They'll definitely come in handy. My dad looked proud, showing no guilt whatsoever about hoarding illegal weapons. I don't know how to use these. When the time comes, you'll have to protect us, I joked with a smile. Only my mom looked worried, sighing as she packed the items away. It's okay, Mom. I have experience now. This time, we will definitely survive to the end. Tomorrow I'll go buy you a mahjong set. Then we can play every day. My mom and I put the things in the cabinet and locked it. I put my arm around her shoulder playfully. Hearing this, my mom finally looked a bit relieved. How can 3 people play mahjong? 3 people can play. You can play 2 hands at once, isn't that even more fun? The next day, I really went and bought a mahjong set. It reminded me. We had bought the physical supplies. Now it was time to stock up on mental entertainment. I first bought 5 tablet computers. I gave one to each of my parents, telling them to download all their favorite TV shows and movies onto them. I also downloaded some variety shows I enjoyed. Then I bought some exercise equipment, a treadmill, an elliptical, a spin bike, etc. I set aside a small area for working out. In my past life, I only lived less than a month into the apocalypse. At that time, it was still scorching hot. I didn't know what it would be like afterward, but I had to prepare for the worst. I went to the clothing market and bought 10 thick cotton quilts, 10 military winter coats, and 20 sets of thermal underwear and cotton padded pants. I also bought 5 space heaters. There were 7 days left until the apocalypse. Our 400 square meter flat was already packed with supplies. The living room only had a small aisle left to walk through. The rest was entirely food. My phone pushed another news notification. A strange bird was found in a mountain area. It had 3 wings, and each wing was a meter long when spread. Its feathers were sharp as swords, and it had a mouth full of sharp teeth. Its eyes were blood red. The firefighters took a lot of effort to kill it. They found its blood emitted a rotting stench. The picture accompanying the news was pixelated. but I could still imagine the terror of this strange bird. The comments section speculated it was linked to neon countries. Nuclear wastewater discharge. But very soon, this news article was deleted. 3 days before the apocalypse, I went and bought another 50 boxes of bottled water. After bringing them home, my parents and I went out to eat hot pot. This might be our last meal outside. Or maybe not. 2 days before the apocalypse, our family slept in until noon. Then, we brought out the iron chains, locks, and door jammers we bought, and started fortifying the fire escapes and fire doors. And not just on our floor. We lived on the second to top floor. We first went to the top floor, locked the door leading to the roof, and placed 3 door jammers. Then we went down 5 floors along the fire escape, locking all the doors with iron chains, heavy locks, and door jammers. The last day before the apocalypse, we took inventory of our supplies at home, checked the security of doors and windows, and our homebound life officially began. At p.m., I was still watching a TV series in bed. Outside, a heavy rain began to fall. This rain was the prelude. I didn't want to look at my phone anymore. I grabbed 2 earplugs from the nightstand and went to sleep. On the first day of the apocalypse, I was woken up by my mom. To keep herself from getting bored to death at home, she had created a daily schedule. For example, we must wake up around a.m. to eat breakfast. And we must turn off the lights and sleep by p.m. We also had to exercise for an hour every day. After getting up, I pulled back the thick curtains and took a peek outside. It was still raining, and raining heavily. I couldn't see the outside situation clearly at all. My mom steamed buns and shumai for breakfast. My dad started watching the anti-Japanese war dramas he downloaded. Watching soldiers tear apart enemies barehanded felt quite fitting right now. My phone soon received a heavy rain warning text. The text said the rainstorm would last for 3 days, advising citizens to stay safe when going out. But I knew the rainstorm would end tomorrow. And very soon, all kinds of strange-looking creatures would appear on the streets. The temperature was much lower than the previous days, only about 20 degrees Celsius. My mom took out thermal pants and forced my dad and me to wear them. She also went to the kitchen to boil some hot ginger tea. For dinner, she took out a block of frozen mutton, sliced it, and we had mutton hot pot, fully fed and content. The first day passed just like that. On the second day, the rain lessened a bit. Many cities experienced flooding in the subways due to rainwater, causing travel disruptions. Netizens were posting pictures online, still very optimistic. However, there were also some different voices. Some people who got caught in the rain without washing up immediately quickly developed blisters on their bodies. Worse yet, if the rainwater touched an open wound, the wound would experience a burning pain, then rot and ooze pus. Netizens just thought it was acid rain and didn't pay much attention. But they soon realized something was very wrong. The first to notice were zoos across the country. Animals that caught the rain mutated overnight. Some monkeys grew for arms. Some giraffes grew to heads. The most terrifying was a zebra in one zoo that grew 4 thick tentacles on its back. The tentacles were covered in sharp black spikes. These animals' aggression increased massively, attacking their zookeepers. The zookeepers fled upon seeing this horrifying scene. Many animals escaped. Soon, the rain stopped, just as people were starting to breathe a sigh of relief. The mutated animals began their rampage. And it wasn't just zoo animals. Almost every living creature except humans mutated. The rats in the sewers grew to the size of golden retrievers. At the end of their long tails, they grew a scorpion-like stinger. When stung, people would quickly foam at the mouth and die from convulsions. I saw all of this on my phone. If I hadn't lived through it once, I would truly think it was scenes from a movie. I turned off my phone, walked into the gym room, and exercised with my mom. The government quickly sent out text messages instructing people to stay indoors and not go out. They advised taking protective measures and stated the government was investigating the matter. They promised they wouldn't abandon anyone. Only then did people start taking it seriously. But it was already too late. On the 8th day of the apocalypse, I was woken up by the sound of unknown objects hitting the windows. I rubbed my eyes. I knew it must be mutated birds crashing into my windows. My parents heard it too. The three of us gathered in the living room. After the rain stopped, the temperature rose quickly. Today, the apparent temperature was already 27 or 28 degrees, while we still had electricity. We quickly turned on the air conditioning. The strange birds outside banged on the glass for a while, and finding they couldn't break it, flew away. Only then did I pull the curtains open a crack to observe. Who would have thought, when I pulled back the curtain, a strange bird was right outside the window. It had 3 legs growing from its belly, and its wingspan was 2 meters wide. Perhaps sensing something, its pitch-black eyes stared right at me. The next second, it opened its sharp beak and let out a deafening squawk. I finally saw it clearly. Its long beak opened, and inside, there were short tentacles similar to an octopus's. As its beak opened and closed, the tentacles writhed around. Inside its beak was a human finger. There was hardly any flesh left on it, just bone, with a diamond ring still hanging on it. I was terrified, frozen in place. My dad saw something was wrong, and immediately pulled the curtains shut. The monster bird violently smashed against the glass, making loud thudding noises. My stomach churned. Coming back to my senses, I immediately rushed to the bathroom and vomited until my vision blurred. It wasn't just because of the terrifying bird, but also because of that severed finger. Outside the window, swarms of mutated birds blotted out the sun. They covered the sky. Black, white, yellow, all kinds, even the most ordinary sparrows, had grown to the size of roosters. Their beaks had lengthened, and they flicked out long, snake-like tongues as they flew. Not to mention the other birds. They had almost entirely lost their original shapes. It was horrifying to watch. Even with the windows tightly shut, we could still hear the incessant, piercing shrieks of the flocks of birds. I put on a comedy movie and turned the volume up, trying to drown out the noise outside. Our family was still staying somewhat optimistic, but others weren't so lucky. These strange birds were huge. Soon, the glass windows of some homes were smashed, and the flocks swarmed inside, pecking the people to death and eating them. Some flocks would even carry the corpses away and fly back to their nests. Sometimes they couldn't hold on, so severed limbs would frequently rain from the sky. In the evening, while we were cooking, the lights suddenly all went out. The power grid had failed, but I wasn't worried. We had generators. My dad immediately hooked up the generator, turned on the lights, and we continued cooking. After the power outage comes the internet outage. Soon, every household would become an isolated island, completely losing contact. Sure enough, when we woke up, our phones had lost signal, turning into useless bricks. The temperature outside had reached 30 degrees. To save resources, I moved into my parents' bedroom to sleep on the floor. At night, we only ran one AC unit. During the day, we used fans instead of AC whenever possible. When it got too hot, we'd turn on the AC in the bedroom. For now, our water supply was sufficient. At night, I used half a box of bottled water, standing in the bathtub to take a sponge bath. The tap water could still be used to flush the toilet. The temperature continued to rise. But it wasn't all bad news. The strange birds outside were getting fewer and fewer. Many people found bird eggs in the places where the flocks had rested. Because of the mutation, each bird egg was the size of an ostrich egg. Many families' stored supplies were already running out. The braver ones started going out to scavenge for eggs. These mutated eggs might not be safe to eat, but people were starving to death, so they didn't care. Our family hadn't opened the windows for many days. My mom turned on 3 air purifiers and 1 humidifier. Only then did the stuffy air inside feel somewhat fresh. As the sky began to light up, I set an alarm, got up, and pulled back the curtain. There were quite a few bird eggs on the ground in our complex. There were also a few people bustling about outside. The departure of the birds made people think it was a sign of hope. Little did they know, something far worse was coming. Ah, help! Several screams rang out, audible even through the thick windows. I took out my binoculars to look. Sure enough, a massive number of animals began flooding the streets. Not only were there mutated pigs, cows, and horses charging down the streets, attacking indiscriminately, but even the omnipresent cockroaches had mutated. Each one was the size of an adult's fist. Their legs grew longer, covered in dark brown, sharp spikes. Luckily, I've never been afraid of cockroaches, even though they were bigger now. Before, I could kill one with a single smack of a slipper. Now, I just have to smack it a few more times. A few had even crawled out of our drains. Probably because the pipes were narrow. Only the relatively smaller ones managed to squeeze through. The larger ones stayed underground, and on the streets, my mom boiled a large pot of water. I took a packet of Realgar powder, along with cockroach killer, mosquito repellent, and cooling oil. Basically, any toxic chemical we had, regardless of what it was. I threw it all in, brewing a thick pot of deadly poison. We poured it straight down the drains. We tested it. And this concoction could keep them away for about 2 days. So, every 2 days, we had to brew a pot and pour it down. Every place where cockroaches could crawl out. We blocked off the drains and placed heavy objects on top. This way, even if the poison were off, the bugs couldn't get in. Our building only had a few occupied units. I didn't know how things were outside. Every day, we repeated the same routines. If we didn't have a calendar, I would truly think time had stood still. After many egg scavengers were eaten by mutated animals and never returned, the number of people on the streets drastically decreased. Desperate for food, the starving animals began slaughtering each other. Almost every day, we could hear the roars of animals. The ground was covered in foul blood and severed limbs. I saw all of this through my binoculars. The temperature was now maintaining around 40 degrees Celsius. We had to keep the AC running every day. As it got hotter, the corpses outside decayed rapidly, creating an unbearable stench. Even living on a high floor, with windows tightly shut, and all air purifiers running, we could still smell it. Fortunately, I had bought some air fresheners earlier. I sprayed some around the house, barely masking the odor. I dug out the mahjong set. Our family of threes. Recent entertainment was playing three-person mahjong. Beep, beep, beep. Friends in the residential complex. We have established a safe zone. 5 kilometers from here. If there are survivors, bring your supplies. Tonight at p.m. Vehicles will come to pick everyone up. A man's voice echoed outside. I had to press my ear against the window to barely hear it. Is it the government? Are government people here? My mom was very excited, rushing to pull open the curtains and look in the direction of the sound. I held up my binoculars, only to see through the complex. An off-road vehicle passing by. Several burly men stood on top of the vehicle, holding a large megaphone playing the message on a loop. Mutated animals in the complex swarmed toward the noise, but the men had a machine gun mounted on their vehicle. They sprayed bullets at any animal they saw. Through my binoculars, I saw animals rush in like a tide and die like a receding tide. Although I also had firearms, they were homemade hunting rifles. They couldn't compare to a heavy machine gun. While I was watching intently, the man standing on the lead vehicle, holding a sniper rifle, suddenly looked in my direction. Even from such a far distance, his gaze made my heart skip a beat. I immediately ducked down. Mom! Get down! Hearing my shout, my mom realized something was wrong and was pulled back a few steps by my dad. I crawled to the door and turned off all the lights and the AC in the house. I wasn't sure if they had noticed us. At times like this, it's better to be safe than sorry. The three of us made sure the curtains were drawn tight. And I said very seriously, we don't need rescuing right now. We have enough supplies. We can live here for years. My dad nodded upon hearing this. Right. Look at them, they have no official insignia. Not even military uniforms. It's highly likely they are a self-organized gang. And they emphasize that people must bring their own supplies. If they were genuinely rescuing people, they would surely have reserves. Why would they demand people bring their own? My dad analyzed the situation step by step. Soon, a buzzing sound came from outside. I didn't open the curtains, but I guessed it was a drone. It seemed the people downstairs had indeed noticed something earlier. My dad and I exchanged a glance. We wouldn't be sleeping tonight. We took out the rifles from the cabinet. We mounted one by our front door, and another by the stairwell door. Sure enough, the three modified vehicles soon drove away. Taking this opportunity, we grabbed 3 self-heating rice meals for a quick dinner, then went out to check if the fire escape and elevator were secure. The elevator had been damaged by animals earlier, so it couldn't be used at all. The only thing we needed to worry about was the fire escape stairs. I didn't buy security cameras before because I thought they were unnecessary, only now did I realize I had been too optimistic. With no other choice, I used an old smartphone, positioned it pointing at the door, and used it as a security camera. I stayed by the tablet, monitoring the situation outside. My mom removed the heavy objects from the drain. Soon after, dozens of hand-sized mutated cockroaches crawled out. By 5:30 p.m., there were dozens of roaches caught in the net. My mom had brewed another pot of poison, waited for the right moment, and poured it down, then covered and weighed down the drain again. At exactly p.m., a bus arrived as promised. After it played its broadcast a few times, a few people ran out from the complex. Some animals tried to approach, but were killed. Soon, the animals in the complex were mostly cleared out, and the remaining ones didn't dare to show up. A total of about 30 people got onto the bus. Before boarding, 2 tall men stood at the bus door, holding a basket between them. Those getting on had to put all their food into the basket. Once everyone was on board, I saw the man at the front of the bus give a hand signal. The man on the roof with the machine gun immediately understood, turned the gun around, and started spraying bullets into the bus. The people inside didn't even have time to react, not even letting out a scream, before they were all slaughtered. Fresh blood flowed out from the bus, spilling onto the ground beneath their feet, meandering away. But they acted as if they didn't see it. They counted the supplies and then looked toward our building. Once again, these animals. My dad clenched his fists tightly and couldn't help but curse. Mutated monsters only looked terrifying on the outside. In this apocalypse, the most terrifying thing is the treacherous human heart. Quietly drawing the curtains tight, my dad and I put on 3 layers of plastic gloves and put on thick clothing, each carrying a bag of mutated cockroaches. We stepped out. We had locked a total of 5 floors in the fire escape. My dad and I went to the middle one, the 3rd layer. My mom followed behind, locking the doors again after we passed. If the doors were unfortunately breached, she could still run back into our flat. Brother Cheng, the family upstairs definitely has lots of supplies. From downstairs came rustling noises. My dad held a hunting rifle, and I held a long machete. Damn it, why won't it open? Downstairs, the sound of iron chains clanking and metal hitting metal was exceptionally clear in the silent stairwell. Bring the gun. After a few gunshots, the iron chain on the first fire door was broken, but there was still a door jammer. After some violent bashing, the jammer also gave way. My dad gave me a hand signal. I understood immediately. He gently pulled the fire door open just a crack. Seizing the chance, I thrust the bag out of the gap. In the next second, the bag of cockroaches hit the floor, and they scattered everywhere. My dad and I had already smeared our bodies with the cockroach poison my mom had brewed. So the roaches didn't dare flee in our direction, and instead scuttled the opposite way. Ah, what kind of cockroaches are these? Why are they so big? So disgusting. Dozens of cockroaches charged at once. Even if they couldn't bite them to death, they could gross them out and buy us some time. Don't randomly shoot, damn it. We don't have many bullets left. Cockroaches crawl extremely fast. Even with guns, they couldn't possibly aim at them. Judging by the voices, there were about 4 of them. They brought 3 guns, likely all rifles. The heavy machine gun was on the vehicle and hadn't been brought up. Brother Cheng, are the people upstairs dead? Otherwise, why would there be so many cockroaches? The others echoed the sentiment. Because their cuffs weren't tied tightly. Some of them had already been bitten by the roaches. I hadn't tested the toxicity of these cockroaches, but their biting force had definitely increased. Wails of pain came from outside. It seemed the bites were taking effect. My dad immediately released his bag of cockroaches as well. With more cockroaches attacking, they had no way to deal with them. Brother Cheng, let's go. This family probably died at their front door a long time ago. Old Lee's arm has been chewed up. Let's go back and have the doctor look at him. While they spoke, they danced around like they were tap dancing, trying to stomp the roaches to death. Although it had some effect, most of the bugs still scurried up their pant legs. Amidst the wailing, the man named Brother Cheng gave the order to retreat. Though he sounded extremely unwilling, the sound of footsteps echoed away. Just when I thought they had all left, several gunshots suddenly rang out. Bang, 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 listen up, you people inside. Next time I come, I'll definitely kill you. My dad and I didn't say a word. We just exchanged a glance. Brother Cheng quickly left. Downstairs, by the vehicles, the men went back to their cars and began pulling the corpses off the bus, tossing them aside casually. This won't do. What if they go back and bring more people? Looking at the scene outside, my mom asked with deep concern. I nodded. They also have heavy weapons like machine guns. We were lucky this time. If they bring more powerful weapons next time, breaking through a few fire doors will be child's play. My dad thought for a moment, went to the freezer and took out a few ducks and chickens. He poured hot water over them. The surface quickly thawed, oozing bloody water. We went to the window facing outside the complex and threw all the chickens and ducks down. There were still many animals outside the perimeter wall. Smelling the meat, they instantly became frenzied. Perhaps the lure wasn't strong enough. So my mom and I quickly brought over half a pig carcass and threw it down as well. As it happened, the pig landed right on top of the wall, half inside, half outside. Suddenly, a massive rumbling sound approached. I quickly raised my binoculars. In the distance, I saw 2 elephants charging over. Mutated elephants. They were almost the size of large trucks. One had a row of blood-red spikes growing on its back. Their tusks had changed from curved to dead straight. One of the elephants had 5 legs and 4 ears. Its tail had grown incredibly thick, and with a light flick, it swatted a mutated wild boar away. With these 2 elephants, the originally tall and sturdy perimeter wall became instantly fragile. The wall collapsed with a crash. The animals outside, smelling the scent of blood from the other side of the complex, charged straight in. The blood of over 30 people trailed through the entire complex, guiding the mutated animals straight to their flesh and right to our enemies. An elephant stomped the bus into a metal pancake with 1 foot. Machine gun fire against its body was nothing but a tickle. Brother Cheng, the leader, fired wildly with his rifle. But in the next second, the elephant crushed him into a bloody pulp. These 6 demons, along with the corpses on the ground, were completely devoured. Not even a bone was left. I couldn't bear to watch anymore. I closed the curtains and threw up into the toilet. Day 198 of the apocalypse. The government restored communications. We received a text message. The state had begun to formulate an extermination strategy against the mutated creatures. The army was on its way. Day 200 of the apocalypse. My mom used ink to paint a giant SOS on a bedsheet. She opened the fire door to the roof and spread it out on the top floor terrace. Day 223 of the apocalypse. A helicopter landed on our roof. Our family of 3 followed the army and relocated to a temporary shelter. The temporary shelter was built in the vast Gobi Desert. 100-meter-tall walls formed concentric rings of defense. The monsters were blocked outside, unable to enter. Day 339 of the apocalypse. After the surface monsters were cleared out, a heavy rain fell once again. This time, besides the common creatures mutating, even plants began to mutate. The leaders realized the surface would be uninhabitable for a short time. Day 578 of the apocalypse. Humanity's new home. The underground city, built with the combined efforts of the whole world, was completed. It began opening to the public. I learned from my phone that people worldwide could enter the underground city, except for those from Neon Country. But it was undeniable that within Neon Country, there were people who had opposed the discharge of the nuclear-contaminated water. So ultimately, the nations decided to hand over the temporary desert shelters to Neon Country. As for going underground, they shouldn't even dream about it. Our family of 3 moved into the underground city. The infrastructure underground was similar to the surface. For people who had already retired on the surface, they were assigned relatively easy basic jobs. As for us young people, we participated in its further construction. An artificial sun hung overhead. It was dazzlingly bright, indistinguishable from actual sunlight. The spring of the underground world has arrived. End of story.